Hey, this is James Terry with another episode of a online gameplay with JTZ TCG. We're going to be taking a look at Snorlax V-Max in expanded format, looking at a couple matches we go up against, taking a look at the deck. We'll be doing a deck profile of what's in it. Make sure you click subscribe and hit like on the video if you like all the content you see. And make sure you check out all our other videos of our online gameplay, our tabletop battles, and our pack openings. Let's take a look at the deck. Alright, so let's check out this Snorlax VMAX deck. There are a lot of different options in expanded format to power up a colorless Pokemon like Snorlax VMAX. You've got Welder Engine, you've got Kiawe, you got double colorless with weakness guard energies. There's a variety of different options. The quickest and fastest and knockout acceleration for my deck that I've found that works very well is running the triple acceleration energy. We do run 4 copies of it in the deck, along with 2 copies of Special Charge in case we get some that get prize carded, if we have to discard some for early setup, or you run into those nasty enhanced hammers or crushing hammers in expanded format install decks. But with that being said, the 4 energies are plenty enough, because if we're taking big swings on VMAXs, on tag team GXs, we're getting 3 prize cards off a trade of 1 triple acceleration on a knockout for 1 Pokemon. So typically we don't use all these. The only deciding factor in most matchups where this kind of becomes a downfall again is the stalled decks. Now, one of the bread and butters of this deck is the Shaymin-EX with the setup ability. Playing it from your hand to your bench allows you to draw into, you have 6 cards in your hand. With expanded format, using Shaymin-EX introduces the ability to use Scoop Up Net with it. So if you use Shaymin-EX for setup for 4 or 5 or even a whole new hand of 6, and you're able to use 3 of those cards, one of those cards being Scoop Up Net, you can pick that same Shaymin up and draw into additional cards. We run 4 of these to pick up the Shaymin. We can also pick up the Jirachi-EX that we have in here for the Stellar Guidance ability. We're playing this in lieu of Tapu Lele GX to search out our supporters. We do run the risk with it being in EX and having only that 90 HP, but it allows us to, again, utilize the Scoop Up Net engine so we can dig out our Guzma, our Colress, our AZ to be able to pick up the Snorlax VMAX. There are very few decks who can take a knockout on a 340 HP Pokemon. It almost never happens, and we can always utilize that AZ, pick up the Snorlax VMAX, and then put it onto another Snorlax V that we have waiting if it hasn't been evolved already, or switch into another Snorlax VMAX that we have ready on our bench. Now, one of the cool tool tech cards that I've included in my deck is the Giratina with the Distortion Door ability. So by discarding this, you can put it onto your bench if you have room on your bench, and if you do, you can put 1 damage counter on 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. This has been a waymaker and a huge advantage to have in this deck because of the Sky Field. We do run 4 copies of Sky Field for to take full advantage of Snorlax's VMAX or GMAX Fall. 30 more damage for each of your bench Pokemon. So if we have 8 bench, that's 240 damage, plus a base of 60, that's 300, knocking out almost every Pokemon out there, with the exclusion of VMAX Pokemon. Now, this is where Giratina comes into play to help us with those. So we can use Distortion Door to whittle down those VMAXs, the Riblium VMAXs, the Inteleon VMAXs, or even stronger tag team GXs like ADP. This is also awesome for taking knockouts on Doll Stalls, on Pokemon who have to set up into Stage 1 or Stage 2s. We do play the one copy of Field Blower in our deck, and that allows us to field blow our own Sky Field. And when we can do that, we can take all three of these off the bench and then bring all three of them right back when we play another Sky Field, and we can potentially deal anywhere from 60 to even 90 damage all in the same turn just by using Distortion Door. I've beaten Spirit Tomb decks, Doll Stall decks, a lot of tricky decks you're running these smaller basic Pokemon because of this Distortion Door, and using it with Battle Compressor allows us to get them to the discard pile quickly so you're not drawing into them. We also run 2 copies of the Exeggcute with the Propagation ability, which allows us to use it with our Quick Balls that we run 4 copies of, also to use it with the Ultra Ball that we run 4 copies of. So a very fast setup deck. It mills through the deck very fast, so you can get everything you need usually by turn 2, and we're just wailing after that. So we're gonna go and take a look into the gameplay. Make sure you leave any comments or suggestions below in the video. Let me know what you think of the deck, and let's get into it. Alright, we're going to be taking in the Snorlax V-Max into our first matchup on the TCG game online play. Let's see. I'm waiting for the opponent to load. So, I've had a lot of success with this deck playing it so far. My win ratio to lose ratio is pretty high. We did win the coin flip here. I'm going to elect to go first. We do play the 3 copies of the Shaymins. We play the Scoop Up Nets. And we also want to be able to evolve on our turn 2 and start swinging and taking big hits. So, to make sure I think my Snorlax V doesn't take a hit, we are going to start with the Giratina. Just to, even if it does get knocked out, that's only 1 prize card, and we can bring it back out of the discard pile with the Distortion Door ability. So it looks like our opponent is running probably Mew Mew with Charizard. He's got the Welder engine in there with some Psychic energies. So we're probably looking at a Mew Mew box with Charizard. Go ahead and say yes to the rest. So there's the Quick Ball. So we're looking at Calito. Oh, and then Aloha Muck. Okay. So we got the Quick Ball, and we also have the Ultra Ball, and then we also have the Rescue Stretcher, and then the Great Catcher. So I think we go ahead and Quick Ball the Shaymin, because we can pull it back with the Rescue Stretcher. We have one of our Exeggcutes, Jirachis, 2 Shaymins. We do only have 2 Giratinas with the 1 in the deck, 1 in the active spot, 2 more of our Snorlax Vs, both Snorlax V-Maxes, all 4 Scoop Up Nets, and all 4 triple accelerations. So we're going to go ahead and go get the Exeggcute. And we're going to go ahead and Ultra Ball off the Versus Seeker and Exeggcute. We do run 4 Versus Seekers, so as much as I don't want to discard one, we're going to go ahead and do it. We're going to get another Snorlax V out, just in case a boss's order, Pokemon catcher up the other one, start wailing into it. We have another one back up on bench, ready to go. We are going to use the Rescue Stretcher to get the Shaymin back into our hand. We'll play Sky Field to get max effect out of it, and set up for 4 and continue to dig in our deck. So we got another Snorlax V. We got the VMAX for next turn. We also have the triple acceleration for next turn. and our opponent seeing that we're just going to keep digging and decides to forfeit the match. And this happens a lot playing Snorlax VMAX. People know, okay, he's digging, he's already got the Snorlax V's on bench, they start seeing the Giratinas come into play, they see the Shaymins coming into play, and that bench just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they know big hits are going to be coming their way. Again, with a full bench, Snorlax VMAX is dealing 300 damage, knocking out any tag team and almost knocking out any VMAX Pokemon out there, with the help of the Giratina and Distortion Door to help wear them down. So it's not uncommon, especially with Snorlax VMAX having that huge 340 hit point on the card, and we have the access to AZ to just pick that up. We run no risk of losing energies on it because we do only play the triple acceleration, so it's discarded at the end of every turn anyway. So using Aerosola, we could, but then we couldn't take advantage of using AZ for Shaymin-EX, for Jirachi-EX, and things like that. So hand is a little messy. We're starting out with a Sudowoodo. It's not too bad, so we can go ahead and limit our opponent's bench right off the back. Let's see what our opponent comes up with here. I'm thinking we go Ultra Ball with the Special Charge. We'll probably go Ultra Ball onto the Sky Field versus Seeker and go get the Exeggcute, and then we can Ultra Ball the Exeggcute with the propagation ability. And I think the Special Charge, as much as I don't want to lose the Special Charge, just starting off with it. And our opening hand is kind of rough, so... And we're playing the Wobbuffet, so as long as this thing's out, that pretty much nullifies every one of our Pokemon with an ability here. So, with that being said, I think we go Ultra Ball, and we're gonna ditch... I think the Special Charge and the Versus Seeker. And go get a Snorlax V. And I think we're just going to have to sit tight. This Wobbuffet is going to be a big problem because it pretty much takes away the functionality of our deck. We can't use our Shaymins, we can't use our Jirachi, we can't use the Giratinas, but we're going to have to get pretty lucky, I think, with our top deck here to kind of find our way out of this mess with this Wobbuffet. Because we can go to the Float Stone onto the Sudowoodo. We can Ultra Ball the Sky Field and the Versus Seeker to get our VMAX into play. But then we have nothing after that. And we get another Ultra Ball. So I think we go Ultra Ball. I don't really want to get rid of the Float Stone right now because it's the only way we have to get the Sudowoodo out outside of a Scoop Up Net. So we do the Sky Field and the Versus Seeker. And this Wobbuffet is rough. Let's go ahead and get the Snorlax V-Max. Go ahead and evolve. And I think we're just going to have to sit and wait and kind of be patient. Hopefully our opponent either Marnies or ends. So we see a battle compressor come from them, which means either we have maybe a Night March deck, or they're looking to get a supporter because they have a Versus Seeker in hand. So Malalana and an Ace Trainer. We see another battle compressor come down. What's that Ace Trainer do again? So that doesn't help our opponent really right now. They are playing Sky Field. They're also playing the Exeggcute. They're playing the Garbodor with the item lock. So it appears this is some type. Oh, okay. So pieces are kind of coming together. So with that, they're trying to get cards to stay in the hand. They're looking to use this Poltergeist attack. And with the Wobbuffet in the active position, our opponent kind of hurt themselves too. So we kind of lucked out in that match because we didn't really have an answer with our hand. So see what our opponent's looking at here. I'm not exactly sure what they're playing based on their attributes. We did win the coin flip, so we are going to like to go first. Yeah, that's just gnarly nasty. So starting off with both Exeggcutes, but we do get the battle compressor and the Trainers Mail. So we're going to go ahead and battle compressor. For sure, 2 of the Giratinas, but I do want to get a supporter in the discard pile because I do have the Versus Seeker. Feel like N is probably going to be my best bet here because my hand, I can't do a whole lot with my hand. And we didn't hit a quick ball or an ultra ball, unfortunately. I think we go with the Sky Field. And we'll have to at least distortion door one of our Giratinas just so we make sure they don't knock the Exeggcute out. We lose and pass it over to them. So that's unfortunate, not getting the Snorlax V played on our first turn. So that means we are going to have to wait for our turn 3 to be able to evolve into Snorlax V-Max. So right off the back, our opponent gets the Exeggcute with the propagation, and they are playing the Milotic V. So I'm actually kind of curious to see how this deck runs because Milotic V was one of my favorite Pokemon growing up playing the Pokemon game. And when this card came out, there was a lot of hype about it because of the Absol and then the Galar Mine that came out. And I even play tested this deck quite a bit in the standard format, thinking it could possibly be a tier 1 deck to get up there with Pikarom and ADP just because it does have such a strong value in attack with the Aqua Impact attack. Because all your huge, strong Pokemon, with the exception of Dragapult, all have high retreat cost. They have anywhere from 2 to 4. and that's just dealing massive damage to an opponent's Pokemon for a 2-card versus a 3-card swing. But there's really has not, at least not that I've seen, or some of the styles that I've play tested with, that really made it work in the standard format. It was a very strong tier 2 deck, but when it came to the likes of the tier 1 decks, it couldn't hold its own. I personally liked the Energy Spinner with the Welder box on the Milotic V. I wasn't a fan of the Frostmoth, which was what everybody's early prediction was. It just couldn't get set up fast enough. And then the huge thing that puts us at a disadvantage is the lightning weakness. Pikarom's still very huge in the format, and that lightning weakness is just killer. They can just hit you with the full blitz, and they're knocking you out, taking 2 prize cards, and on top of that, they're setting up 3 more energies on one of their Pokemon. So Pikarom, very hard matchup, and it's a very common matchup in the meta. And I think that's kind of where Milotic V fell off as far as the standard format goes on trying to be a tier 1 deck. So our opponent's digging pretty good, having a pretty efficient turn 1 here. So they are going to computer search. And I do discard the Jirachi-EX. So they're going to Aqua Patch. In an expanded format, I can see Milotic V still being a very strong tier 2 deck, with the possibility, very good possibility, of becoming a tier 1 deck. But there's just a lot of variables to consider, and the big thing, again, the lightning weakness. So I think we're going to go the Float Stone onto the Giratina, and then we're going to try and set up and get some value out of the 2 cards before we end. And unfortunately, we did not get anything. So we're going to take the in and shuffle our hand in and hopefully get a lot better hand to work with here. So we do get double battle compressor, so that does allow us to get the other Exeggcute propagation ability in the discard pile. And along with the Giratina. And not sure, Great Catcher we can leave in. They do play the Shaymins. I think maybe the Winona. We'll go ahead and ditch that. We'll bring back the Exeggcute. And we're going to Ultra Ball off the other compressor with our Exeggcute, so we can go get a Snorlax V. And then we're going to see what we get off this Trainers Mail. So we do get a Scoop Up Net. So we can do a Scoop Up Net on the Exeggcute, and then put the Giratina into the active spot and propagation, and then go ahead and get both Exeggcutes into the discard pile so we can utilize them and go get another Shaymin and set up for 5. So now we pretty much have all our tools in the discard pile that we need. We do get another Scoop Up Net, Rescue Stretcher. I feel holding on to the Scoop Up Net is probably the best thing right now. They do have a Muscle Band and a Float Stone on the Milotic. We could use the Field Blower, but I'm hesitant to hold on to it knowing the Galar Mine is a factor. I think we will go ahead and Distortion Door and start wheeling some damage on to these Milotic Vs, because more than likely they are playing 3 to 4 copies of this Galar Mine. They've already discarded one, we got rid of the other, but I'd be willing to bet they do play 2 more copies, seeing how that's how Milotic V gets its strength. They, of course, could power it up with the Absol. That increases the retreat cost on basic Pokemon. But with our Snorlax VMAX being an evolved form, that really wouldn't affect this. And I think we're going to go ahead and just kick it to our opponent. See what they come up with as a retaliation. So they get another Float Stone into play, so they can float around their Milotic Vs regardless of the Galar Mine being in play. They are going to Ultra Ball, so playing the double colorless energy. They do get the Absol. Our opponent probably has a Quick Ball or Ultra Ball in hand using the propagation ability. They do have the Quick Ball. And either they're going to be, a Dendeni, then DD change. We're going to see a Field Blower. They elected not to get rid of the Sky Field, which even if they do, again, put the Galar Mine into play, and they decide to scoop. So that's just, everybody sees the Snorlax VMAX and they get scared. I mean, even having a retreat cost of 4 and Muscle Band in play, our opponent was only going to be dealing 220 damage. That still leaves us 120 life. We still have access to AZ by utilizing the Jirachi. Just, it is a very, very hard and heavy hitting and defensive Pokemon. I just think as far as the expanded format goes, it's definitely one of the best ones out there when it comes to the deck. It's very consistent. It's the draw support is there, and then utilizing the Giratinas just gives you an extra buffer on damage and discard and setting up. It's just so efficient, so cohesive as far as the sequence of cards. It's definitely by far my favorite deck in the expanded format right now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you hit subscribe so you can see my other videos coming up for gameplay. We're going to be looking at making new decks coming out of the Darkness Ablaze expansion releasing in August. And we'll be taking a look at how that's going to affect standard and expanded format. And then don't forget to also subscribe so you can see our pack openings and tabletop battles. This is James Terry with JTZ signing off. Got to catch them all. So there it is, folks, my Snorlax VMAX in expanded format. Please let me know what you think about the deck in the comments, or any suggestions you think I should change up in the deck, anything you really liked about the deck that stood out to you. Please make sure you hit like and subscribe for the channel. Be on the lookout. We will be doing a set review for the Legendary Heartbeat collection out in Japan already. That will be out later this year for us. We'll be taking a look at how those cards coming out are going to affect the metagame, especially with all the crazy cards coming out with Darkness Ablaze already. Be on the lookout for us trying out some of those new Darkness Ablaze decks and pack openings. We will be having the Darkness Ablaze expansion coming in with a booster box and Elite Chainer box that we will be opening up here on the channel. This is James Terry with JTZ signing off. Got to catch them all.